day, guys. We're doing our weekly Monday afternoon show, breaking down the previous series, the previous week, looking ahead at the Toronto Blue Jays schedule, what is to come. Are we going to have a good week? We're going to have a bad week. We're going to spin a wheel. We're going to talk about all of the ongoing Toronto Blue Jays news and updates and everything, and there is a lot to discuss today. I'm your host, Nicholas Blaylock.
And I'm your host, Adam Peddle. And as the title suggests, Blue Jay fans, we're fed up right now. I know Nick is. I know I am. Watching the weekend series against the Yankees, watching the Houston series, that was very frustrating. Granted, facing two very good teams on the road, so you would expect these losses. But if you're a Toronto Blue Jay fan watching the team on the field and how they went about those losses, some of those games look very uncompetitive. Some of them, some late inning rallies. Some of them give hope. But a lot of the overall feeling amongst a lot of fans is kind of built up over time. We're going to get into a little Ben Nicholson-Smith article later in this video. But essentially, fans, you had the wild card series. And then you had no Ohtani. And then you didn't do anything to address the batting problem. And then you go into this regular season, and what's the big problem? The batting. And it just so happens the pitching's also a problem too. So it looks like as a Toronto Blue Jay fan, we're lucky to be 4-6 right now. And it's a really frustrating. And tonight, you got the home opener.
Well, listen, it's funny because we were live yesterday and people were saying, I'm already done with this team and we're not even home yet. Obviously that's ridiculous and it is an overreaction, but there is a lot of things to be fed up with and frustrated with the Toronto Blue Jays so far. However, all that being said, it is the home opener, so let's do one of these for the fact that baseball is back in Canada, back in Toronto.
Everything's going to be fine now.
Everything's going to be fine. We got cup holders. We got new food offerings. We got new drinks. We got a little fucking coffee with a little hat on it.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
That's going to help us hit over 280 batting average.
I think so. Let's take a look at this last series against the Yankees. Starting out with something positive, everybody. People were feeling up after this game because obviously the Houston series, I don't want to delve into that again. That was terrible. Yeah. But you had that Thursday off day, and people were like, what are we going to get from this team? How are we going to show up in Yankeeville, in the Bronx, after the Yankees were dominating? They looked pretty damn good in Game 1.
Yeah, leading up to it, pretty damn good is a strong word, I would say, Nick, because, the pitching looked pretty damn good. Shout out to, we had Yusei Kikuchi on the bump
and the
right
bullpen,
there.
too.
And the bullpen showed up pretty good as well, but the offense, pretty abysmal. You had the Ernie Clement homer, and little sidebar, Ernie Clement got a lot of playing time in this series. This guy's really broken out, and I think he's earned a lot more playing time moving forward at that third base bag, maybe a little bit of second base. Ernie Clement's the man there. He needs to play every day. He was the only reason why we got sparked anything in this game.
I don't want to get too far off topic here, but it is really interesting. 10 games into the season, right? And 10 games is still a small sample size, but it's large enough that you can start to tell the storylines. I think it's really interesting to see the guys that are actually doing it and the guys who aren't. So far, who have been the big talking points of this season? I'm looking at Justin Turner. I'm looking at Ernie Clement. I'm looking at Davis Schneider. I'm looking at even Daniel Vogelbach and Yusei Kikuchi. These names that are supposed to be on the bottom tier of the Toronto Blue Jays roster, and yet they are the ones that are showing up the most.
Hey, they're the guys that are supposed to complement the big boys, right? And if you're not counting Justin Turner as a big boy, I'm talking about George Springer. I'm talking about Vladdy. I'm talking about Bo Bichette. And on the pitching side of things, I'm talking about Chris Bassett and Kevin Gosselin.
Sure.
Right? Guys are supposed to complement the team. And this is what you need. You need that for sure. But then you need your big boys to bop. And we didn't see a lot of that going on in this series. So big shout out to Ernie Clement. And then the two wild pitches. That was just them gifting us. Game should have been 1-0. And that's just that's what it felt like in this one.
That's Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
It is, man. It is. But we gotta give a shout out to Yusei Kikuchi. Del Simmer saying in the chat, the Cooch was loose. I think it's time, this early part of the show, to crown the J of the week, everybody.
Yeah. The Cooch was absolutely loose, everybody. Yusei Kikuchi is going to be your J of the week for this past week. We were talking about it. There was some offensive performances. Justin Turner was pretty good at baseball. Yeah. And Ernie Clement did have a solid week, but it just felt kind of wrong giving it to the offense on a week where you got no hit and you got one hit, and then you had those games against the Yankees where sure you put up three. You put up three twice, which is okay. You know what I mean? Realistically, though, let's face it, it just felt wrong giving it to an offensive guy we are going to give it to Yusei Kikuchi, shutting out the Bronx Bombers in their home opener. At least you can take that positive away from this week.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, literally, we would not have won that game on Friday if it weren't for Yusei Kikuchi being dominant and the bullpen, like you said. And if it weren't for that, we would have got swept, which would have been really bad coming into the Rock Center 3-7 for the home openers. Yusei Kikuchi, shout out to you, my man. Congratulations, you're in the J of the Week for Blue Jays today.
I do want to take a quick look at Kikuchi because, he is actually, turning some heads, and myself included. Remember, folks, he's in a contract year, so he is playing for his future in the MLB, and I think that if he was to have a season that he had in, 2022 or any of those previous years, basically, then he might not be in the MLB anymore. But right now, he's looking really, really good. I know it's a very small sample size, only 2 starts, but he's got a 2.79 ERA, something that I have noticed, again, small sample size, but the changeup, or the curveball, is up, and the slider is a little bit down. They basically flip-flop. His curveball is going up and the slider is going down a bit this year. So maybe he's feeling a little bit more with that curveball, trying to get the same result, trying to get over for strikes, trying to get some swings and misses. Right now, it's working.
Yeah, I think, again, it's small sample size because you use those pitches effectively against different hitters, right? And maybe this is just the lineups that we're facing that the curveball is more effective. But I think the curveball is a much better pitch overall for Yusei Kikuchi. If you look at last year, that expected slugging was at 415.
Yep.
The batting average against was quite a lot, but you use it to get off of the fastball, get off of his slider, which makes everything more effective. Adding that little wrinkle into his pitch arsenal makes it a lot more effective.
And this is really interesting, too. Scroll back down there. Again, we're going to keep saying it's small sample size here, but 0 batting average against the curveball right now. So right now, at least in the early goings of the season, that tells me that nobody is looking for it. Nobody has that in mind at all. You're sneaking it over there for strikes. No one's taking any hacks whatsoever. So, keep doing it until somebody adjusts.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, shout out to you, Yusei Kikuchi, J of the Week. Gotta love it as well. Now going on to game 2. Now, this game was probably, other than the Tampa Bay Rays series, actually not even probably, this is the best offensive game the Blue Jays had. It just so happened it was just a little bit too late. A little late inning push. And I like to see that because we've talked so much on this channel that when the Jays get down bad, they seem like they just give up. They just give up. And then it all sparked with the home run from Vladimir Guerrero Jr. That caused a lot of controversy online with the whole shush. It was also on MLB Network. Did you see that?
I didn't see that.
MLB Network was saying when not to do the taunting. And they show all these different examples. And it's come on, man. Just because it happens to one particular team, MLB Network being in New York, now everyone's getting on his case. Dude, you guys are... do you not see the MLB The Show cover?
Right.
That was the whole thing. Anyways, getting sidetracked. Blue Jays, they spark a late inning comeback. It was nice to see, just a little bit too late and a little bit too beat up early on to come back in this one.
Yeah, man. The sad reality is the pitching sold here. Kevin Gausman just did not have his best stuff, everybody. The velocity was pretty down. It was 3 to 4 miles per hour down than what it typically is. To, I guess, reassure some people about Kevin Gausman, Keegan Matheson said afterwards that his velocity dip isn't as worrying as it looks. The same thing happened exactly 1 year ago on April 6th. We started on April 6th last year. Apparently the exact same thing happened. This time it just didn't work, right? And the Yankees just got the best of him. It was very cold that day, so, maybe that's a factor. And also, too, let's keep in mind, the Toronto Blue Jays were scoring a lot of runs, so maybe just pitching as a whole was struggling that day because of the weather. I'm not sure. I'm not going to worry too much about Kevin Gausman until we see this again. But obviously, you would have liked to see your ace come out and give a bit of a better performance against the New York Yankees, especially when the offense actually does show up for one of the first times this year.
Yeah, that could have been the difference maker in the series if we got a semi-good performance out of Kevin Gausman, even half of what he did, in this game.
Exactly,
we'd be winning it, right?
100%.
So it is unfortunate, but he's probably the guy I'm worried least about of the struggling pitchers.
Sure.
Just because we know the track record. He showed up in game 1 against the Tampa Bay Rays and looked absolutely filthy in the small sample size. So I'm not too worried. There's other guys I'm more worried about, like Chris Bassett right now. Not so worried. I think he's going to find his way, but it is concerning how he goes back-to-back games and is a little bit struggling to begin the year.
Well, I think the big problem is here, this is supposed to be a trend. Ironic cheer right there, but this is supposed to be the Toronto Blue Jays' bread and butter, right? We hold these guys to 2 runs or 3 runs, and then the offense is supposed to do just enough to inch ourselves over the finish line. that's not been the way of it so far, right? You are getting some good performances from Jose Barrios and from Yusei Kikuchi. Those guys are doing really well. And there's a couple bullpen guys who are like absolutely holding their own. But for the most part, a lot of our players are getting blown up right now. I mean, flash over to the MLB team rankings for the ERA right now. Very small sample size, 10 games in, but we're 27th. We're down there with the Washington Nationals, the LA Angels, the Colorado Rockies. That is not a grouping of teams that I want to be around, folks. Like, that is the bottom of the barrel, and we were being talked about as having a top 5, top 10 rotation coming into the season. I still think that they have that capability, that they have that ability to get to that place. But if the offense is going to struggle the way that it is, if the pitching is also struggling like they are doing right now, this is how you're going to find yourself getting into a hole. And I don't want to be in a situation after April or midway through May where, okay, well, now the pitching's starting to figure it out, but now we're 5, 6, 7 games below 500 because they've been scuffling and the offense just can't figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's early, and usually pitching right off of the gate is going to be the one that's going to be the most needs time to ramp up for these Toronto Blue Jays, especially when you're down a pitcher, aka like we're missing Alec Manoah, we're missing that like kind of fifth guy, Bowden Francis, getting his first time opportunity in the rotation. So that obviously plays into it. And the fact that you're on a road trip to begin the series against Houston, against New York, against Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Like, that's a pretty tough way for your pitching to slowly get ramped up. I mean, look at Tampa Bay Rays are down here too, and they're known as one of the best pitching staffs in baseball. So to see this, it's like, okay, it's obviously something to note, but it's funny. Like, I'm not worried, even though we are fourth last in baseball. Right, because we've seen the track record of the opponents that we've faced in the past, and we've beaten them up before. But this year, slowly ramping up is not so good. And also, throw it in the mix. You have Kevin Gausman, too, coming off of an injury. So there's things that aren't exactly falling into place. And no Jordan Romano, and no Eric Swanson. So you're forced to play guys like Wes Parsons and Mitch White. So I think that factors into it. So I'm not actually that worried. The numbers look a lot scarier on the page than they appear, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I hope that you're right, man, because again, like I said, this is supposed to be the bread and butter, and I am absolutely concerned about where the offense is at. You know, we put up 8 against the New York Yankees, we still lost that game, and then you go back and you put up 3, and like that's okay, but it just feels like a lot of our star players, Guerrero and Bo and Springer, they are trying to do a way too much right now. When we do get down early, it is really difficult to come back. Speaking of the pitching, though, and just circling back to that, are you worried at all about Bowden Francis? Because,
little bit.
You know, if you're not worried about the rotation as a whole, I understand that because, you know, Bassett should bounce back and Gausman should bounce back. But 2 starts in right now, you know, I don't want to completely overreact, but Bowden Francis just looks overmatched right now.
Yeah.
Outmatched.
Houston series talked about on the Blue Jays Today's show on Friday. Bowden, it was clear they were just attacking his fastball, and he wasn't incorporating enough of that curveball with location at the bottom part of the zone and the fastball at the bottom part of the zone to be effective. They were looking for it up, and they got it up, and they hammered it at the ballpark. So that was an effective game plan. That's your first start, you know, as a major leaguer. Okay, we'll throw that in the trash bag. Well, you got also equally hard start against the New York Yankees that are hot out of the gate against Juan Soto and Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge. And in this start, he does get beat up. He looked good out of the gate, other than the Angel Hernandez.
First time through the lineup, he looked good.
Struck out the side. Assisted by Angel Hernandez.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. But he looked good. I was thinking this is going to be a bounce back. And then you start to see the other side of the shoe where if you're looking just at that or the Giancarlo Stanton home run right now, you made a mistake. And that's what it takes to be a big leaguer. You can't make those mistakes. Granted, there's a little bit of assistance by Kirk there too, calling it inside, back-to-back inside fastballs right there against Giancarlo Stanton. Probably a mistake pitch. Joe Siddall called it out in the show. Probably can't be doing that. But still, it comes to note, when you look at his ERA, 12.96 in 2 starts. Definitely something to worry about, but let's see what he does. His next start is against the Colorado Rockies. Yeah. And if you can't do a good outing against the Colorado Rockies, then you got to start looking at the depth system of the Toronto Blue Jays and maybe looking for a replacement, maybe move him over to the bullpen. He's more effective there. Maybe get someone else in that starting job.
Well, look, okay, the Giancarlo Stanton home run was definitely a bad one, but let's not forget how we got to that situation to begin with, right? Like, bases were loaded, and you had already walked in a run in that situation, right? Like, there was a lot of things there that led up to that moment to then where it's like, well, we have to pitch to Stanton and we do make a mistake, and then he sends one over the wall, right? Like, that was an inning where it just, like, the dominoes kept falling. So, yes, that's the moment that people are going to look at, and, like, we reacted to it. Go follow us on TikTok and Instagram if you want to see our reaction of yesterday's game again and just live through the pain. But, you know, he was certainly not perfect at all in that inning, and it just kept snowballing and snowballing. And when Gil, for instance, Gil got out of that scenario, because the exact same thing happened an inning prior where he loads the bases, he walks in a run, then you get Cavan Biggio up, and he strikes out Cavan Biggio looking like he does,
of course,
right? He gets out of that situation. Bowden Francis cannot. So I think some onus on a couple things right here. One, onus on the offense there for not being able to cash in more runs when you had the bases loaded and this guy was missing all over the place. You need to do better right there. But then onus on Bowden Francis as well, right? Like, Gil was capable of getting out of that scenario. He wasn't yet. I still think that this guy can pitch at the MLB level, but right now it does feel like the moment is a little bit too big for him. I'm hoping that he bounces back because, like you're saying, who's next on the depth chart? Well, it sure as hell is an Alec Manoah right now. And, I mean, they're still trying to build up Yariel Rodriguez, and Ricky Tiedemann is still, I don't think, ready yet to come into the show and take up a role. So you need this guy to bounce back and to figure it out.
And I hope he does. I do want to talk about Alec Manoah just a little bit, but I wanted to flash over just something to note for Bowden Francis. Obviously, again, just like you say, Kikuchi, looking at his baseball savant, it's an early sample size. But here's what I like to see. Look, you got the four-seamer being located perfect. Up and in, up and in, up and in. That's what I like to see. That's where he's going. Cool. Curveball being effective. Down and away. Slider hanging a little bit.
Slider is hanging, yeah.
But 13% of the time, he's got to figure that out. But that's not the damage that the players are doing. They're doing damage on his fastball. So for me, that says, even though he's locating it well, clearly he's not mixing in enough of the curveball in fastball counts, right? We got to, again, we could probably break it down even further than this, but that's my impression based on what I'm seeing right here. Clearly, they're looking for the heater, and they're hitting the heater. Yeah, he threw a heater up and into Giancarlo Stanton. He hit out of the ballpark because he saw it twice in a row.
That's the thing. It was a good pitch, but, you know, when you're going to show this guy the exact same pitch twice against Stanton, who I know he's kind of washed, but, like, still, he's a quality baseball player when he is on. Yeah, he's gonna crank it.
Yeah, and like you can see too, like still kind of all over the place, and it is early, so the heat map isn't fully heated up. But, you know, just a little bit more effective pitching. Like you have good stuff. I mean, we broke it down so many times on this channel. Looking at last year, the stuff is good. Expecting batting averages are really good. Not so much on the slider. I think that might be a pitch maybe you just kind of let go into the back of the arsenal. But you got to be effective with the fastball and the curveball and using it in counts to trip up the hitters and get up their timing. That's his key to success against the Rockies. He can do that, man. It's the Rockies. You want an easier start? I mean, look at the A's, but Rockies are pretty damn easy.
Rockies are about as easy as it comes, man. If you can't deal with the Rockies, then you're just going to have a hard time dealing with anybody. Shout out and thank you to Jason Miller for subscribing, folks. Let's transition and talk about Alec Manoah and what's going on with him, guys, because he kind of ties into this whole rotational woes that we're dealing with. You know, it was supposed to be the strength. Now it's not looking so much. Alec Manoah was supposed to be part of that strength. He was supposed to have his bounce back. He had a rehab start yesterday in single A Dunedin. This is against guys that will never see the MLB level. This is against players that you should be handling easily. He did not. We're talking about 1.2 innings pitched, 6 earned runs, 7 came around. He gave up 4 walks, and those 4 walks happened back to back to back to back to start the game. That is how the game started. We walked in a run to start the game. My understanding was that he threw 14 pitches. Only 2 of them were strikes there. So to start out the game, absolutely zero command at all. And Keegan Matheson makes a pretty interesting point right here, saying that a lot of the deliveries of his pitches, they didn't look the same at all. So there was no deception going on here.
Yeah, I break it down. There's a video coming out tomorrow, guys, looking at this start by Alec Manoah and just talking about the future. Kind of what we're talking about right here, but a little bit more detail. For me, when you saw Alec Manoah, or you heard Alec Manoah come out and say, yeah, I felt pretty good. My command felt good. We don't have the quotes right here, but like I felt pretty good about it. You know, it feels right. All the release feels right. And I was around the zone pretty consistently. Well, clearly, he only threw a 44% strike rate. So maybe he was around the zone. I didn't watch the outing, but Keegan Matheson did, as he comments on his delivery being inconsistent. If you have an inconsistent delivery, There's no way you could pitch in the big leagues. You can't even pitch at single A right now. The 4 walks in a row, it shows me everything. And then even when he's in the zone and he corrected whatever he needs to correct, he's getting hammered. His stuff is just not good enough to even get out the single A players right now. Whatever it is, it's concerning to me. Again, I'm going to break it down a lot more in the video tomorrow. But damn, I think we got to start shifting the way we look at Alec Manoah as a player in our system, moving him down the depth charts. We got to look at Yariel Rodriguez, like you said.
Yeah.
He had a great outing against AAA Buffalo, or in AAA Buffalo against other AAA players. He dominated. You got Alec Manoah in single A getting shelled and losing command. Clearly, if this happens again, whenever his next start happens for Alec Manoah, if this happens again, Yariel is clearly the next man up. Alec's falling down the depth charts.
Well, if Keegan Masson is saying that the deliveries don't look the same, then that says to me that these guys, these single A players, are recognizing immediately out of the hand, that's a slider, that's a fastball, and they're just not going to take a hack at it all. And that's probably why, all these sliders that he's trying to throw, I'm guessing here, but he's throwing all these sliders, they're going outside the zone, they're going for balls because everyone's realizing immediately, I'm not going to swing at that garbage. Yeah. And then we're walking a bunch of people, right? Yeah. So, you have got to get your delivery at a better place right now and just be a lot more deceptive, and he used to be there. It's just kind of wild to see a guy like this who was so capable in the MLB fall off the way that he has, right? It's one thing to look at the conditioning and the weight, and that's a whole conversation, but he's lost that, and he did condition this offseason, and he did put in the work. Yeah. So where are we at right now? Why aren't we getting to that place?
It's a question. It's a mystery. Looking at where Alec Manoah is right now in his current situation, again, talk about in the video, but if he continues to struggle, if he continues to do this in single A, you just got to forget about him. Honestly,
I really count on him anymore.
Yeah, no, if he struggles again, it's not even worth the conversation anymore. Yeah. This feels like a nail in the coffin. You open up the coffin if he goes on a stretch of some great games, and then the conversation happens at the big league level, crap, we got to get another starter up here. Oh, but Alec Manoah is clearly the only one dealing. That's when you could talk about him again. Until then, bring up Yariel, try out Bowden Francis some more, because we just straight up, we have the depth now. We don't need Alec. Let him figure it out. If it takes him a whole season to figure it out, let him do it, because we don't need him right now.
I think at this point, you got to start looking at him kind of like a prospect, and he's just like a guy that could potentially be something maybe one day, but there's a large possibility that that's just never going to happen.
That's a great point.
Which is a sad way of thinking about it, but if you cannot deal with single A guys in Dunedin, how the hell are you going to pitch to Juan Soto and Aaron Judge and Anthony Rizzo and deal with that, right? You won't be able to.
He needs long, sustained success. You can't just have one good outing. And if they call him up after one good outing, I had that thought today making this video. I was like, dude, what if they do this? That'd be a big mistake. You need to have long, sustained success. He hasn't had good outings back-to-back since 2022. It's been almost 2 years. Mm-hmm. This guy can't do it. You gotta have him do it first before calling him up.
Well, the problem is, though, and again, this cycles back to the Bowden Francis situation, right? Because, we have a lot of depth at the pitching rotation right now, but somebody needs to actually play good baseball for us at the MLB level, right? Yeah. And if it's not going to be Bowden Francis, and it's currently not going to be Alec Manoah, I feel like your hand starts to get forced a little bit to look at the Yariel Rodriguez and just say, okay, well, can we get this guy to be ready? And that's not a situation that you necessarily want to be in either, because this is a guy who barely played baseball at all last year. Sure, he looks good in AAA Buffalo, but you don't want this guy that you signed to this longer-term deal to come up and then, same thing that's happening to Bowden Francis, immediate blow-up, right? You want to give him that opportunity to get ramped up for the MLB. So that's, again, it's coming back to Bowden Francis and saying this guy just needs to be better right now. We need to weather the storm a little bit longer, give Yariel a little bit more time. We cannot count on an L or on 5 or 6 earned runs every time Bowden Francis takes the mound. We've only had two outings right now. They've both been, not quality whatsoever. We need to see a bounce-back quality outing from him against Colorado for me to feel a little bit more confident in him maintaining that rotational spot.
Absolutely. And look, we got time to figure it out. We have other pitchers. It's a 5th spot for a reason. If you have a quality starter in your 5th spot, you're laughing. We kind of had that a little bit last year at the end with Ryu coming up, and it was great. And we're laughing, and we're one of the best rotations in baseball. So if we could just experiment and find that, security in that spot, we got some time to play with, but not too long, because once June or July comes, and if other guys are starting to struggle, if you're looking at, good thing you say is doing well, but if there's some other guys that are struggling and not as good as they used to be last year, because there will be some regressions, that fifth spot becomes a little bit more important.
We also don't necessarily have the luxury also of having a below average fifth starter because of the offense either.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
And that's part of the problem, right? It's like, well, okay, sure. Like this guy, he gave up 4 earned runs in 5 or 6 innings. You know what? For our fifth guy, fine. Not fine for the Blue Jays.
That's a loss.
Not fine for the Toronto Blue Jays.
That's a loss. Why don't we actually talk a little bit about the offense, kind of pick at some players a little bit?
Sure.
Before we do, guys, let's give a quick shout out to the sponsor of this Blue Jays Today show.
Whoa, time for your daily Betway breather. A quick reminder that the best place to bet is on Betway. Must be 19 years of age or older to play. In collaboration with iGaming Ontario, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content.
Shout out to Betway, everybody. They are absolutely phenomenal. If you're interested in sports betting at all, that is your place to go.
Mm-hmm.
There are a couple Blue Jays that right now I would not be putting money on. I just simply wouldn't, based on the way that they are looking in their at-bats. They've had a couple good games, but large in part, like the majority of the season so far, it just hasn't been going great for them. Let's pick on George Springer. Let's pick on Guerrero. Let's pick on Bo Bichette. These are the stars. These are the guys that are supposed to be coming up clutch. This is your 1, 2, 3, literally in that order. In that order. And we're looking at a 184 batting average, a 189 batting average, and a 194 batting average. Shout out at 3-point James right here for the $2 dono saying Vladdy is too much of a kid to be a serious leader. But we're going to pick on him right now. What are your thoughts on Springer, Guerrero, and Bo off to some very slow starts in the first 10 games?
I mean, Springer's so hard to pick apart because what I saw from him last year is kind of what I'm seeing from him this year. Is he's taking his mighty hacks at pitches. It's just that he's coming up and missing. I mean, he's not getting a lot of balls hitting the play that are finding holes. You know, and like he's not like striking out a whole lot. I mean, he's got 6 strikeouts on the year to his 8 walks. Like, I actually really like what I've been seeing him at the plate, but you know, you look at the slash line, he's got a 184 batting average, and the OPS is not bad for that batting average, to be honest. So for me, it's like I'm not so worried about George Springer. I've been more focusing on this guy right here, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who in the first series at Tampa Bay, correct me if I'm wrong, did he have 5 walks?
He was walking a lot. He was being patient.
Yes.
I liked that series against Tampa Bay. Like, he was actually looking pretty good. And then we got to Houston, and it felt like this entire last week, Guerrero's just got to throw in the trash can because as every single game went on, you could just see that this guy was getting more and more frustrated and forcing it. And that one game that we watched on Friday, I made a whole video breaking down Guerrero and that one game because every single at-bat, you literally saw that, folks. You saw the first at-bat, oh, you know, I'm trying to be patient. I'm trying to do what I'm supposed to do. I swing, I miss. Damn it. The next at-bat, I'm frustrated. Now I'm forcing it. The next at-bat, it's more than, you know, and it built on each other, right? And by the end of the game, like, this guy was just like, he did not look at all like he belonged there. Like, I would have been upset at John Schneider at all for even benching him at that point because the fact of the matter was he was not playing competitive baseball whatsoever. Guerrero gets in his head way too much, dude, and he just doesn't have that same level of patience and calm that the Justin Turners of the world have, and he needs to get there, man.
Dude, like, if you're going to be chasing a lot of pitches, like, you got to be able to make contact with it and put it effective. You got to be on time. Which I don't think is going to be in Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s game. It's in Bo Bichette's game. Granted, I think on Bo Bichette, he's going to get warmed up. Like, I don't really think that this is indicative of what we're going to see from Bo Bichette this year. But from Vladimir Guerrero Jr., this is a problem that's egged him on for the last year. Right, all in 2023 was chasing, trying to make it to happen. And it's very clear when Joe Siddles talked about it, we've talked about it. He's not selecting a pitch he wants to hit. Even on our live play-by-plays, I was talking about it. I'm like, okay, what are you looking for right here? And in that at-bat that you were breaking down, the couple of them, was he's swinging at the slider right away, swinging at the off-speed right away. And he's way out in front, and he's trying to hammer it over the left field wall, but you're out in front missing it. Okay, sure, you got fooled. But now you got to make an adjustment, man. They're clearly throwing you off speed. Switch to the off speed. If they know that you're out in front chasing heaters, then switch to the off speed. Those pitches were right there. Like, a lot of the pitches are right there. But because you haven't made the adjustment and realized what pitchers are doing to you, you are going to continue to roll over. You're going to continue to swing and miss, and you're going to continue to swing the sliders away. If you start looking off speed, making this little adjustment, now you're going to lay off the slider. You see it, right? You're going to hit and hammer those pitches, those mistake pitches. Justin Turner is a prime example of that. This guy knows he set fastball, he can set off speed because he knows what the pitchers are trying to do to him, and he makes mid-game adjustments all the time, and that's why he's off to like literally the best start with a 936 OPS.
Well, what doesn't make any sense to me about Guerrero, and when I was breaking this down, I was finding this. He gets these at bats where, okay, first pitch, it's slider, and he chases after it, he goes after it. Then the next pitch he gets, it's like fastball cutter, but he swings at that one too. And then the next pitch he gets is like something different. He swings at that one as well. And I just don't understand because I'm like, well, like, what is it that you want? Like, are you not recognizing that the first pitch was a slider or that the second pitch was a fast? Like, are you not seeing that?
I can
or
tell
are
you
you
what
just swinging at everything?
I can tell you what he wants. He wants base hits.
That's what it feels like.
That's it. Like, he's he's result oriented. Like, he's not thinking about, and this is why Justin Turner is such a good hitter. He's thinking about the pitch in front of him. What am I trying to get my barrel to in front of me right now? He's not worried about where the ball's going to land. He's not worried about driving it over the wall and being a hero. He's not worried about, making a good at bat and showing up in a big spot. He's worried about putting the barrel to the baseball. Yeah. That's step number one, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is too worried about being the hero. That's why he's got 11 strikeouts and leads the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, and it's just a rough watch right now. And those top 5 guys right there, do you see that? The top 5 guys in at bats for the Toronto Blue Jays, there's not a single one with a batting average over 200. And I would anticipate that the Toronto Blue Jays fans are going to make this team hear it tonight, guys. It is the home opener.
Whoa! Time for your daily Betway breather. A quick reminder that the best place to bet is
more Betway.
Shout out to Betway, everybody. But it is the home opener for the Toronto Blue Jays tonight. We're going to be live on this channel watching the game. So for the 260 people that are watching right now, shout out and thank you to you guys. If you haven't already done so, hit the like, smash the subscribe button, but also mark it in your agenda to come back here because we're going to be live watching that game, the home opener for the Toronto Blue Jays. But I would anticipate that the Toronto Blue Jays fans are going to make this team hear it, guys. Ben Nicholson-Smith released an article today talking about the wild 6 months that have transpired for Blue Jays fans and how they will finally have their opportunity to be heard. There's a lot of shit that transpired in the last 6 months that we have not been able to voice to this management, to this team.
Big shout out again to Ben, who's been on this show right here. What a guy. I mean, he paints it perfectly. He really just paints the whole picture of the last 6 months. Since the last time the Blue Jays have been at the Rogers Center, this has transpired. We get swept in the wild card where we only score 1 run. Okay, and Jose Barrios gets pulled by John Schneider and I guess the khakis upstairs.
Yep.
Then you've got Ross Atkins saying he was surprised by the Barrios start and no one took accountability there. Not at all. And then you have big guys leaving, Matt Chapman, Brandon Belt, Whit Merrifield, Hyun-Jin Ryu, Jordan Hicks, all left, and no one came back in other than Justin Turner and maybe a couple of Yariel Rodriguez who we haven't seen yet. Not lots of pieces out, not a lot in. Then you don't land Shohei Ohtani, big blow. I think that kind of highlights everything else that we feel. Like if we got players in, that would still be a talking point, but not as much as a big blow. We fail. We don't get Ohtani. And then you go, and I kind of skipping over these points. The main thing here is then you go 4-6 because I think we all agree. Like in spring training, we're getting a little bit high, on the team, hopeful.
Happens to everyone.
Happens to everyone. And the big thing is then you go out, you go 4-6 on the road, where then you get no hits, your offense looks bad, and then it just so happens your pitching is awful. But again, that just highlights the fact the whole team has been playing bad, and we're lucky to be in 4-6. With all that being said, then you go back to the Rogers Center, and this is the first time the Rogers Center is going to be filled with Blue Jay fans, passionate ones, because it's home opener, and only passionate ones are going to be there, in April at a Blue Jays game. And they're going to let you know what Ben Nicholson-Smith is alluding to. They're going to let you know if you're sucking, this might be the year where we start seeing Blue Jay fans booing the team when they underperform. Booing, maybe there's chance of fire Atkins. Maybe. Yeah. I could actually see that happening. It's going to be a wild season if the Blue Jays don't put up, and it could start tonight.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys. I have never been a supporter or a fan of booing your own team or booing your own players when they're not doing well. I just don't think that it's super productive.
Agreed.
However, in this instance, it might be because it might actually instill the management or tell the management, Rogers Communication Company, Ross Atkins, John Schneider, this isn't good enough, and there needs to be changes made. Someone's going to need to take the hit here, or someone's going to need to get traded, or something's going to have to happen because we are not going to come and continue watching these games and continue supporting this team and loving this team if you guys keep A, playing like this, and B, not, addressing the issues, right? The whole conversation in the entire offseason was, we can't hit the fucking baseball. Can we hit the baseball now? No. Do we look worse than last year? Yes. Why did we not do anything about that, right? So this is like the one day of the year where, honestly, if you are at the game tonight, I'll give you a pass for voicing your opinion and for making this team hear what it is that you have to say. Now, if they come out and they drop 10 on Luis Castillo, and we are going to break down this series, then, it's a completely different story, and we're back on the wagon again. We're feeling good. But the fact of the matter is, nobody is playing the way that they should right now, and nobody is doing enough to make us feel confident about this team.
I mean, you can kind of see it in the someone brought up the ticket prices right now, $12 at StubHub for the opener. It's true. It's not. There are tickets out there that are being sold for dirt cheap. We're gonna go to the game tomorrow in person, where I'm just gonna get my tickets on Game Time for like $7.
Yeah,
it's that bad. Literally. So you're at a point right now where I agree with you. As a fan, you have the opportunity to make an actual impact and let yourself be heard, because we've been kind of silenced ever since. The wild card series. We've been silenced. They've been putting out in the media, blah, 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 blah. It's time to let our voices be heard. And yeah, if they boo, it's not necessarily booing one individual player or booing, John Schneider. It's booing the whole effort of the organization.
I think it's booing the last 6 months as a whole, right? It's like the wild card, the Ohtani, the Bellinger, the Soto, the first 10 games, the everything, literally the everything, the comments made in the post games from Ross Atkins and Marshall, literally all of it, guys. It is a displeasure to everything. We are frustrated. We are fed up right now. I just want my team to win some games and score some runs. That being said, let's take a look at this upcoming series, everybody. We are finally back home. So even though it's been largely negative so far, at the very least we can go. We can watch some Blue Jays baseball in person if you are located in Toronto or the GTA. Seattle coming in to the 6, everybody. We're going to be live for that first game and then also the Wednesday game as well, guys. So the first game and then the Wednesday game. So marketing the agenda. Also 285 people watching right now. Can we bump this thing up to 69 likes? That would make the boys feel really good. Let's take a look at that first start. Luis Castillo, Jose Barrios. He has been red hot right now, or ice cold, depending on how you want to look at it. Barrios right there. Castillo, I own him in fantasy. He's given up a decent amount of runs right now, but we know that at any given moment, he can pull a Framber Valdez and just go crazy on us. So
hey, we're the team to allow starting pitchers to get hot again. Like we're the lineup that people go, oh, thank God, the Jays.
Literally,
like we can really work our way easily through this.
You know what? Fucking Seattle Mariners today is probably talking about us the way that we were talking about the Colorado Rockies. Like, well, if you can't, get the Rockies to ground out or can't do well against the Blue Jays, like. What's going on here?
Exactly.
Wow, that's a sad
It is sad. Oh, you can mow down. You look. Yo, guys, did you see this lineup? This is our top 5 dudes, all hitting under 200. Like, that's an easy lineup to mow down. So you got Luis Castillo against Jose Barrios. Obviously, I'm loving Jose Barrios. Seattle Mariners lineup is not cooking. They're not a lineup that's supposed to be potent at all. I do feel confident that this is going to be one of those classic Jays games where it's going to be 0-0 going into the 5th. We're going to have our Betway mid-roll at like 1 hour in, and you know what I mean? Like, we're going to be that fast of a game. I do think the Blue Jays should edge just a little bit. Castillo has been a little bit colder. Maybe they pop one here or there. It's not going to be a blowout, but I am thinking the Blue Jays, you've got to win this game. You've got to get back to 5-6. You've got to get off to a good start at the homestand. This one feels like it's going to be a slight W.
We need Jose Barrios to remain being elite. We need him to remain being elite, dude. That's what it comes down to. Jose Barrios has just got to keep putting up here because, again, like we've not seen from this offense yet that they're at a place to be able to carry the team. I would love to believe that coming home to Toronto, getting the fans, maybe getting some cheering, maybe getting some booing. Maybe that's going to instill you with a little bit of firepower to go out there and get it done with the sticks. I would love to believe that. And if they come out in the first 2 games or so and they put up, if they're over 5 runs in both the first 2 games, then I'm 100% bought in on that narrative and I will ride that to the finish line because I need something to instill me with confidence. But until proven otherwise, we just need to see the pitching continue to put up. And
We do.
and I'm gonna agree with you. But we're looking at like a 2-1 win here, man. It's like a 2-1 win.
It is. It's going to be tight, and you're looking right here. You know, we don't have too many at-bats. Springer's got a lot of at-bats. Turner, 9 at-bats, 3 hits. That looks pretty good. Kirky, he's 2 for 2.
Let me tell you here, guys. Let me tell you right here, folks. Shout out to Betway again, because if you're going to bet on anything this weekend or this opening series, it's Julio Rodriguez stolen bases. It's Julio Rodriguez stolen bases.
You know,
it is still a problem.
Bet it in every single game. I feel like you'll get good odds.
You will.
Yeah.
Listen, this guy is going to get on. He's going to find his way on. He's a superstar. He's going to get himself on base, and he will steal. Because legitimately, guys, we still cannot stop the run at all. Yankees were stealing on us pretty much all weekend. Houston didn't really, because they don't have a whole lot of steal threats. But it is still a massive issue here, guys. We cannot throw out runners to save our life. No. It is free on the Toronto Blue Jays. And if you do have anyone, if you got a guy that's in the 90-plus percentiles when it comes to speed, it's free.
Yeah, it's free.
That's Julio Rodriguez. He's going to steal some bases, guys. Look for that to be a big problem for this opening series.
Yeah, honestly, I might just actually bet on every single game, stolen base. You will probably make money.
I genuinely think you – I hate that I'm saying that, guys. Yeah. But we haven't figured it out yet, and until proven otherwise, I think the people are going to keep stealing on us.
All right, going on to game 2. If we win that one, which I'm hoping we do, let's see what we can do with Chris Bassett against Kirby on the mound. Now, Kirby's off to a roughish start, but we know this Mariners pitching staff is very, very good. How confident are you that Chris Bassett is going to be able to put up a good outing? I mean, again, this is the easiest lineup we faced so far this season. Feels like if we are going to dominate, it would be against this Seattle Mariner lineup.
Can we take a look, actually? How good are these guys doing so far to start the year lineup-wise? Are they around us in terms of
let's take a look.
Let's take a look at the team hitting right now. I know that they're not off to a crazy hot start or anything like that, but just from a hitting perspective, where are they at?
Like they're pretty low.
Okay.
28th. There you go.
They're worse than us.
They're worse than us.
They're worse than us from a hitting perspective. Wow, okay, so maybe we can get a little hot here. Maybe we can.
So what are you thinking? Kirby versus Bassett,
I'm just thinking about this right now, dude. This series is going to be some ugly base.
Oh, it's going to be horrible.
There might be a maximum of like 10 runs this whole fucking series.
Average 2 hours and 20 minutes per game. That's what it's going to feel like.
I think you could be right, dude. Like, this offense sucks. Our offense is terrible.
Both
the pitching, and it's the elite pitchers, too. Yes. It's not the bad ones, the good ones.
Yes.
Wow. We literally might see like a handful of runs.
Under on runs. Under on runs
every time.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so what do we got?
Look, I know that my final prediction for this series, because we need it, is that we're gonna win 2 and we're gonna lose 1.
Yeah.
I'm kind of off the Bassett train right now, man. I think that Bassett's struggling with a little something. And I think if I'm gonna bet against anyone, it's gonna be him right now. I really want him to bounce back. And it's still possible that he does. And we lose anyways because Kirby is really good at baseball in his own right.
Right.
I'm gonna say that we lose this one here.
I do feel like you're right about that. Look, you both have 2 struggling pitchers out of the gate, 2 struggling offenses. I feel like whatever it is, I mean, look at even just at the matchups right here. You got Mitch Haniger that pounces on Bassett. Polanco, one of the better contact hitters in the game, he dominates him. Luke Raley, which is a J killer for the Seattle Mariners, he's all over him. Rodriguez is 0 for 3, but you never know. Maybe he comes through here. I'm going to say that we drop this one.
Yeah.
All right, game.
Okay, 1-1 right now in the series so far. Also, shout out to Poggers, who's going to the game tomorrow. We are also going to the game tomorrow, guys. We're going to be outside, probably around like the front area. I don't know how you describe that, but front area near like Ripley's Aquarium, all that spice. We're going to be going there a couple hours before the game, filming some social media content. So if you want to be in a video for Blue Jays Today, if you want to be on our social page, come message us on Instagram, message us on Twitter. Let us know that you're going to be at the game. We'll tell you where we're at. We're going to be there a couple hours before the game, filming some stuff, and then we're probably going to go to the game as well and like film some stuff there, just enjoy the game as a whole. Hopefully there will be a W there. We're actually predicting a loss.
We're predicting a loss.
We're predicting a terrible game right
Yeah,
now.
I know, right?
That's just the worst. But we are going to be there, so let us know if you are coming. Kikuchi, Gilbert. Gilbert's pretty good at baseball. Kikuchi, though, we're off to a good start.
Yeah, you know, I kind of like this matchup for the Toronto Blue Jays. You know, they have been somewhat okay against Kikuchi, but we've been really good against Gilbert. We faced him a ton in the past. And look at the boys. 400 batting average for Guerrero. You got Kirk, who dominates him, 429.
Springer doing good work.
Springer does great. That top of the order might do some damage. I do think we're going to win this series. So I got to say we're going to win this one right here. I think Kikuchi, if he can do that against what he did against the Yankees lineup, we know absolutely fooling Judge and Soto, I think he can do that exact same work against the Seattle Mariners. I think we win this one, but again, a classic Blue Jay game. Maybe we have like one big inning, and we win like 4-1. Yeah, and that's the score.
All right, we win the series 2-1. Everybody, that would put the Toronto Blue Jays record at 6-7.
Oh yeah.
Looking over at the standings right now, currently last place in the American League East at 4-6. Not a spot that you want to be in. If we went 6-7, we're probably still going to be around last.
Yeah.
but we'll be closer to the fourth or third place in the division. So moving on up.
Yeah, moving up, man. Look, this whole homestand, I'll flash it over right here, guys. We talked about it on the Blue Jays Today show. We're going to break down every single homestand because every Blue Jays Today show is going to be right before the beginning of a series. But looking at the whole homestand, guys, we talked about it on the live play-by-play. If we win this series, you want to at least win the Rockies series, if not sweep them, right? And then the Yankees series, if you feel okay dropping 2 games there, so total, you're losing 3, you're winning 6. That brings the Blue Jays record back to 10-9. That's where you got to be. You got to be above 500 at the end of this homestand for me to get back into that hopeful ways the Blue Jays can actually compete and get off to a good start this early in the season.
Yeah, exactly. This is the time to instill us with confidence that you can handle this. Colorado's terrible. Seattle is decent, but you still got to beat them. And we have to prove at some point that we are going to beat New York. So might as well be at home. That is our prediction for the Seattle series, guys. Like we said, we're going to be live later tonight. We're going to the game tomorrow. We're going to be live again on Wednesday. So tons of content on the way. Now, it's time to spin the wheel.
The spinning fortune, baseball, colorful, future determining, stat analyzing, and it's a wheel that we spin every week.
It is, in fact, a wheel that we spin every single week, everyone. We spun it last week. We spun it the week prior. We're going to spin it this week, too, guys. And right now...
We're going to update it. Hold on.
Okay, we're going to update it because I'm under the impression it is currently all tied up 3-3. Now, if you guys have been paying attention, it was Adam's week last week. He picked a couple of guys. He picked Justin Turner for OPS. That was a good shout. He picked Juan Soto for J-Killer, though. Not good enough to beat out Aaron Judge. And then he also ended up picking Kevin Gausman for Caper 9.
Which I thought was a lock.
Didn't get a single strikeout.
Not a single one.
So it's back to my week now, everybody. We're all tied up after 2. We've exchanged a couple blows. Funnily enough, right now we both lost when it's our week.
Yeah.
Eventually, you got to think the other shoe's going to drop right now.
That's just the wheel, baby. Sometimes
it
happens.
That's the wheel. Let's spin it and find out what's going on this week, guys. What are we cheering for?
Yeah, and guys, let us know in the comments. Who would you pick for these categories for the upcoming week?
Haven't hit a bonus player yet. Doesn't look like it's going to be this time either.
Close. Caper 9 again.
9 again.
Oh.
We bet on the Kevin Gausman bounce back. It feels so...
Colorado.
Against Colorado.
Yeah, he's against Colorado.
Oh man, that feels like a ride it until the wheels fall off type situation. Like I won last year, guys.
With this category.
This category just annihilated every single time. Hoggers is saying Burrios. I hear you guys. I understand. Carl Anthony's saying Kikuchi. Kikuchi's not a bad shout, actually. Kikuchi's not a bad shout at all, everyone. But I am going to ride with Kevin Gausman. I think he deserves at least one more week of love until, again, proven otherwise.
So it's going to be tough because Gausman's got one outing. And if he pops off, that's going to be tough because I was going to go Burrios too, but he's got 2 starts.
Yeah.
So that's going to average out, and you don't really want an average out starting.
I never like going for the 2 and Caper 9.
No, you got to go for the big or go home, and I don't like where Bassett's at. So you know what? Against the Seattle Mariners, strikes out a lot. I think I'm going to go Yusei Kikuchi and take a little shot, guys.
I think that's the right choice, dude. I really do think that you're doing the right thing there. The chat is kind of split, but most people are saying Kikuchi.
Okay.
I like Kikuchi. Jack's saying Manoah.
God, hit batters maybe.
Yeah, legit, dude. That's like the Manoah category.
Yeah, for real. Let's see what's going on next. So you picked that one. So you got one more option if you want to go first.
Give me the bonus. Oh, we're coming. We're coming. Give it.
Oh, go past.
Yeah,
it's the bonus
there
player.
it is. The first one of the year, everybody. I never spin it for myself, but we did this time. Give me a category that we can dominate.
Okay.
Here, folks.
So again, if you pick first, you go in the snake. You go in the back end, the third one. But if you go next, you pick the back two. That's OPS.
OPS.
Interesting week. Okay, well, I know which one you're gonna pick.
Do I want to go first here? Or do I want to take two and kind of double? I mean, it's just like it's tough to bet against Justin Turner.
If you don't pick him, I'm picking him.
That's the thing, you know. Like I think that I'm gonna lock in Justin Turner because he just feels like the best bet at this point. You can take one of the question marks, and then I'll go again.
That's the thing. There's a ton of question marks with this Toronto Blue
It's just a
Jays
dart
team.
throw, bro. It's a full dart throw.
Because
who's gonna hit a couple homers? That's what you gotta ask.
David Schneider, but he's not going to get enough at-bats. He's got to get at least 15 in the week to qualify. I don't think he's going to get enough at-bats, so I can't pick him. So it's really the top boys. I'm looking at Hunter Kirk's look like Dookie. I feel like I got to go either George Springer or Vladdy. Vladdy had an abysmal week. Honestly, based on what I've said, because he is working his way on, he's getting his hits here and there, he's due for a homer. It feels weird, like, not taking Vladdy, but is he going to turn it on in his homestand is the question. Vladdy overall is the safer bet for OPS, like overall for the season. Vladdy should be picked for OPS the most because if he pops a couple, gets a couple hits, he should be back. But am I willing to do it right here? I mean, I got to take the upside. Who can beat Justin Turner in OPS? He did it the first week. Oh, it's tough, man. This is tough. This is tough.
Go with your gut.
My gut's saying I hate it though. I don't want to go Vladdy. I don't want to go Vladdy. I don't want to do it, but like all you got to do, Vladdy, is hit like 2 homers and like a few extra base hits, and boom, you're good. You're good. What we saying? Bo's close. Like you could go Bo, you could go Springer. Bo's got to prove it. Now you're making me think Bo, but I can't pick Clement because he's not gonna playing time. You know what? I don't like Vladdy. I don't like Springer in these spots. I might actually go Bichette. I might go safe. I do think he might be better. It's a tough one. Not giving me much options here.
Make
All right,
choice.
screw it. I'm going with Bo Bichette.
That's too bad. That was my selection. I'm sad that you looked at the chat.
Yeah,
I'm not touching Guerrero with a 10-foot pole. I'll take George Springer. I don't want anything to do with Vladdy after I broke him down in that video, man.
That's the thing.
I just want nothing to do with that guy at this point.
See, that was and I felt it too. That was my hopefulness coming in that he will bounce back. And there will be a week like that. There will be.
I just don't want to bet on
Do I think it's this week? No.
No.
You know who's gonna like Springer's probably a good shout there because he can absolutely hit.
He could hit
two,
a couple, and then he's there, you know. So that's OPS. Adam gets to pick first on this next category. What is it gonna be, folks?
Thank you, Chad. I like that. I like that pick. I was underrating him because of the OPS last week. We got almost worse, Jay.
Walks.
Base on balls.
A couple guys who take walks. I'm okay with you going first on this one.
Well, yeah, I think I have to.
You have to go first on this one, so.
Honestly, Springer is not even a bad shout for walks. He's been getting his walks. Vladdy, I can't pick that shit. Bo never gets walks. Turner, he'll get his walks here and there. He hasn't walked too much. It's not a bad shout either, but based on what I'm seeing so far, I got to go George Springer just because of how good he's been so far consistently over the start of the regular season.
In a couple Kirks here, Turner. I do like Turner here, guys, although I did pick Turner for OPS.
Which is counting for walks.
Absolutely. That will be a factor, and I do think he will get it. Biggio. How many at-bats does Biggio got?
He has 25 this year, but he only has 4 walks on the season. The leaders in walks, you got George leading the team, then Vlad. We're not going to pick that. Then it's Turner.
Kirk's not taking his walks right
now. I got 3 walks.
Interesting. I don't want to do Guerrero, guys. I'm not on the Guerrero train right now. I'm just not seeing it. So I'm gonna go double down on Justin Turner. We're gonna lock that one. Wait.
All right.
I'm really thinking. Part of me is thinking that Kirk's gonna have a big week.
This is the bias coming in. This is what I felt about Vladdy, bro.
Everyone's so split on this pocket. Give me Justin Turner. Justin Turner will take his walks.
He will.
All right, that is the week there. I'm feeling pretty good about my selections, I'll be honest.
I mean, you got the bonus players, so you're pretty
Got the bonus.
Secure.
I'm liking where I'm at right now. No one wanted to touch Guerrero with the 10-foot pole, as you can see, guys. Let us know in the comments down below, who do you think is going to win this one, guys? And let us know as well your prediction for this series. Can we see you on Tuesday? Are you going to the game? If not, can we see you tonight in the live stream and on Wednesday in the live stream, because we're going to be live for both of them.
All right, guys. We appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Let's kick some ass. Let's kick some ass at homestand.
That's right.
Get that energy going in the chat.
This was a negative stream basically the whole time, but now that it's out of here, we're fucking wagging again, and we're going 6-0 in this week.
Let's go, guys. Guys, hit that like button, smash the subscribe button. I think we gotta give a big shout out to our Patreon members here too. Shout out to our Patreon members, and shout out to all of our YouTube members too. You guys are absolutely awesome. It's $3 a month to become a Patreon member. YouTube member, I think it's like $4 or $5, but it's super dope. There's a lot of y'all out there.
Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and as always,
go Jays, go!